Hello, disc golfers. This is Matt Dollar, and I'm here with my third round from the Melbourne Open A tier in Melbourne, Florida, at Wickham Park. About to tee off here on hole one, about 500 feet, trying to get around all those trees you can see in the middle. You hear that whining noise? That's the remote control airplanes and drones being flown in the field that's right beside the first few holes. A really popular place to do that around Melbourne, apparently. It's pretty cool watching all the remote control airplanes while we were waiting. And then there's another area on the course that has remote control sailboats, which is pretty weird to watch. But they have a little course on one of the lakes where they race. There I am tapping it in on hole one for a 3. That is a par. It's kind of a tweener though. 3 is a good score on that hole. Hole 2 is one of the few short holes. Throwing the soft Cenis up the middle there. Came up just a little bit left. That's my more stable of the 2 Cenises I carry in my bag. Really just getting used to that one. So I'm putting with the soft spike because it looks like I got a little bit of a tail right to left. That putt a little bit to the right. Putting the comebacker with the soft Cenis. And barely got it in there. So here we are on hole 3, even par. Mando right in the middle of the hole on this one, and I make the Mando, but definitely managed to catch the very next thing, so leaves me having to throw an upshot here with my soft Cenis and throw it right into the only tree in between me and the basket. Not the best shot there. Got a long stab to try and save par with the spike, and seemed to hit the line, but as you can see me telling myself to get it up there. At least I made the 20-footer to save bogey. Here we are on hole number 4, another par 4, where I threw a really good shot with that ballista yesterday. This time I got a little tougher upshot, but I'm going with a little sidearm thumber. Should skip up right to the basket, but then it just catches a little roll, and unfortunately it rolled into this super thick rough. The basket's only about 15, maybe 20 feet from this rough, and somehow my disc just rolled about 15 feet in there, and it is so nasty. Pretty much forced to get down on my hands and knees and crawl in. Took quite some time to get in there and get to where I could actually play my lie. We're about to see my disc come out of there. Anytime now. Anytime now. That's Florida freestyle legend Monster ringing the chains for me because I can't see the basket from the middle of the bush. And like I said, I tried to put it on somewhat of a sidearm angle, but it came out and rolled. Just crawled away from the basket. Trying to calm myself down before I take this putt to try and save par. The wind seems to keep picking up, and I've switched back to the Cenis again. Just turned it over. Hopefully I was able to knock that one in coming back. Almost cut through. So I'll get out of there with a 5. That's back-to-back bogeys. Puts me at 2 over for the round. Pretty good shot there with my Opto Flow, taking the straight approach on hole number 5. This was the closest I got it all weekend. It's good to bounce back with a birdie. 1 over now. This hole here, I've decided to go with the Opto Spark. This was the only round that I threw the Spark off the tee on this hole. But it was quite windy. It's only about 330 feet. So the sparks seemed like the right decision, but didn't quite have enough distance and ended up in the middle of all those palmettos again. Looks like I'm thinking about a turbo putt here, but not quite going to work in the wind, so I went with the backhand. Kind of had to hold my putter up near my chest to throw it. Wasn't able to put it in there for the birdie, so have to settle for a par. Now I go to hole 7, which is a par 4. Good first layup drive with a stiletto. And I actually had to go to the left on my second shot 2 of the rounds and to the right the other 2. This time I went left with a sidearm stiletto, that same one that I just threw off the tee backhand. Pretty good shot, but didn't really get any skip. Still leaves me inside the circle putting for birdie though. Barely squeaked that one in there. So back to even par, heading to hole 8, which is the signature hole, another par 4, where the basket's way down the right side of the water line. So everyone just kind of lays up to the left. That was a pretty good second shot there after a very conservative tee shot. Gives me the birdie putt. You can see those sailboats in the background that I talked about earlier. So that birdie puts me under par for the first time of the round. And hole 9, short hole here. Throwing a soft Venus off the tee, my more overstable soft Venus. That actually got me a CTP. That was a CTP for that round, worth 25 bucks. So 2 under par heading into hole 10, which you might remember from my last video. I threw a pretty good roller on, but it was too windy to throw the roller on day 2, so I had to opt for a sidearm stiletto both rounds. Not able to get near as close, but really all you're trying to do there is stay safe and give yourself a long putt for birdie. Pretty good bid on it, just barely missed right side.
That's not his.
Hey, dog. This guy's putting at it.
Stay still, stay still.
Tap in for the par and then try and pick up young Vinny's discs.
Nobody move.
We had 3 or 4 discs all in right there on top of each other. I got confused as to whose disc that was. And going with the spark again, just like a couple holes back. This time I put a lot better line on it. Skipped in just barely short, but luckily that bush stopped me. I think the only time the bush held me all weekend. But that's another birdie. That birdie takes me to 3 down for the round. Off the tee here, just because I'm trying to avoid going over the creek on the right that's OB. Another long putt for birdie. A lot of these this weekend. Looks like I'm going with the Venus. Just short. Felt like I made really good strides during this tournament and putting in windy conditions from long range. Lots of good bids at least. Once again, throwing that opto stiletto. Threw the stiletto a lot this weekend. There's OB to the right of this hole, as you can see that little road right there. And I threw OB in that the first round, so I'm really just playing safe to give myself a putt. Hit the basket again. It's tough putting in the wind in Florida, especially on these baskets that have seen better days. So another par there.
Come back.
There's that stiletto yet again, this time on a forehand.
Skip.
Oh, still a good shot.
Got a really good line on that one, but it just did not skip again. But this was the Pro Open CTP for this round, and surprisingly, this was the closest. Barely beat Ryan Watson, who I'm sure threw a forehand. Didn't make the putt, but did win the $25 CTP. It was also a CTP during the 4th round, and Ryan Watson got it again, about a foot from the pole.
Oh.
So this hole, long par 3 with the Mando in the middle. This is, as I mentioned on the previous video, a hole that I didn't see anyone get a 2-1 the entire weekend.
Break that pond, bro.
So quickly through that and on to this 500-ish footer, par 3.
Oh, come back. Come on.
The wind doesn't pick it up. Dropped it.
That giant tail.
I was throwing a pretty good shot there, caught a little bush at the end, but still got a long bit at it.
Yes!
Finally got one of those really long ones in there. And so going into hole 17, and 3 under par.
Whoa!
I missed my favorite bush on hole 17 this time, but still quite didn't get down there. That was the compass I threw off the tee. Now kind of putting around the bush and hit the basket again. Lots of basket hits during this round. So 3 down going into the final hole. And hole 18 is the shortest hole in the course, but it's always windy with the wind coming off the water. And it was particularly windy this round. Pulled the scenic just a little bit right, and the wind held it out and it hit that bush. Still putting here, but right about the circle's edge and in this kind of wind. I believe it's a cross tailwind too, which is one of my toughest winds to putt in. So really taking my time. I'd really like to get to 5 under to finish this round, because I'm only a couple strokes off the lead at this point. Maybe 3 or 4 off of Calvin Young Vinny. So take my time, readjust, putting with the Cenas, same one that I threw off the tee. No, maybe the slightly more beat one that I threw off the tee. And yet again, hit the cage. So really frustrating round, but besides the 2 bogeys, I played pretty good. But it's gonna finish me off at 4 under par, which is a 53. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I'd like to thank Latitude 64 for their support and Carla Seward for filming. Round 4 will be out soon, where I am in 3rd place and 5 back of Calvin Heimberg. Thanks for watching.